So they tell you to level up, they tell you to become your highest version, to reach your goals, but they don't tell you about what happens when you do become that higher version of yourself. When you do become that version of you that's very confident, who's running her business, who's not caring what people think about her, who's hitting her goals left and right. They don't tell you what comes with that part. For those of you guys who are new here, hello, my name is Jasmine. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about why becoming your higher version can feel lonely. And I can only give you my perspective, what I've experienced. I can't speak for all people, but I noticed for myself that things became more lonely for the biggest reason I just no longer had anything to talk about with others because I literally engulfed myself in my business. So when I quit my job during COVID in 2020, I went all in with my OnlyFans business, all in. Like I was eat, sleeping, and drinking OnlyFans, how to grow it. I was no longer watching TV shows. I was no longer going to lounges and bars. I was no longer, going to the festivals. I was no longer doing any of the things that I used to do, right? Because I was so hyper focused on my business and growing that. And when you start to put yourself in environments that you have outgrown, it just doesn't mesh. Like you can try to make it mesh, right? We'll try to hold on to people, even though we know, the relationship has run its course, but you just stop having things to relate to with people. Also, you notice you'd rather be doing what you're doing. You get to a point, like for instance, I stopped drinking. I no longer wanted to be at bars. I no longer wanted to go to lounges. Like those just weren't things that I wanted to do. I would rather go, to the gym, right? I would rather go to Whole Foods. Like my routines and my habits changed because I was changing, right? And until you find your tribe of people, or until your tribe finds you, you're going to have a period where you're by yourself. And I don't like to use the word lonely as you become your highest version because you become comfortable with solitude. To me, when I hear the word lonely, it gives off to me like you feel like you're missing someone. Like there's something that you're not getting that you really want. And there's nothing wrong with wanting it, but to be lonely, for me, it just kind of sounds like sad, like depressing, but it's not sad. It's not depressing. It's you getting in alignment with your tribe to come. Because if you didn't become your highest version, you wouldn't be able to attract friendships where the friendships are healthy. They don't need you and you don't need them. So you're not always doing for those people, right? Because they are more, they are self-sufficient, right? You wouldn't be in alignment to meet friends who know how to show up for you and reciprocate energy back to you the way you give it out, right? Because there'd be pieces of you that are still broken. So you would actually run away from those type of friendships because you're maybe like, if you're anything like me, I wanted to be the friend that was needed. Okay, well, that's not in alignment with people who got their own stuff going on. So I wouldn't be able to be their friend 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, right? Because I'm looking for friendships where I'm needed. So you have to go through this phase to attract your tribe. And you're only going to be able to get through that phase when you spend time by yourself, when you're not absorbing other people's opinions and energies and problems. A lot of times, you guys, like, for instance, when I was scrolling on social media a lot, there would be posts that I would see that would just piss me off instantly. Like, the video hadn't even gone on for 4 seconds, but that 1 second line pissed me off. And it could have been about something that's really not that big of a deal, but it was their opinion, their viewpoint. Now I'm carrying this negative energy with me because I'm like, wow, I can't believe this person said that on this video I watched on Instagram. I'm taking in other people's opinions and energy at this point. Like, what? But a lot of people do that. The algorithm is set up to piss you off. It's rage bait, right? They know that if they can get a emotion out of you, they've got you. You're going to watch. You're going to watch, then you're going to share it, you're going to comment on it, and you're going to stay on their platform for longer so they can run more ads to get you to spend some money, right? They know that. So that's the type of content they're pushing. But when you're by yourself and you're no longer doing that doom scrolling and having feelings of FOMO or feelings of depression or comparison, when you can just sit with self, I cannot make this up. You become so much more comfortable in who you are and what you're working towards. That's the type of energy you have to have if you're going to attract other women who are doing the same type of thing. Maybe you're someone, I used to have a real bad attitude problem, right? I used to be mad at everything and everybody. And you couldn't even say something to me without me getting mad. Like, who do you think you are? Right? Like, now I was never putting my hands on people, but I would curse you out. I would curse you out, okay? How could I attract healthy friendships where we can tell each other how we feel and we listen? We don't listen to respond, but we just listen. We allow them to feel seen and feel heard, right? And then you want to fix it so that you guys can continue having a healthy friendship. And there's no name calling in that. There's no screaming in that. There's, you know what I'm saying? You have to sit by yourself. You have to reflect on your actions because that's the only way you're going to be able to become a better version of you who doesn't act like that anymore. So the only way that's going to happen is if you are by yourself, because most of the time, if you are that person who always has a attitude problem, for instance, in my case, you have people around you who enable it. Like, so you might have friends who just let you go off on them and they just like, okay, right? Maybe your mom was like that. Maybe your dad was like that, right? Or maybe when you tell your side of the story, people agree with the fact that you're raising your voice at people, right? So you don't really feel the need to change because the people that you've surrounded yourself with, they've enabled that behavior, right? But when you're by yourself and now you're no longer around people who might allow you to act that way and they still treat you the same, right? Well, now it forces you to change. It forces you to reflect and realize, okay, well, maybe I didn't have to yell at her like that. She was just telling me how she felt. You know what I'm saying? It forces you to change who you are so that you can be that friend who can listen and not get upset. You're grounded. You understand that not all criticism is bad, right? But you're also getting friends who understand that too, right? So that loneliness period, you have to go through that. Most people are not out here going through that. And that's the problem. So you're changing who you are. You're changing your perspective on life, right? And that's no longer in alignment with the friends that you used to have. That's no longer in alignment with the routines that you used to have. You just become a totally different person. So, don't feel like, oh, it's always going to be like this. No, it's not. It's not always going to be like this. But they don't tell you that when you are trying to level up. And that's probably the hardest part of leveling up, which is why a lot of people will give up. Because it's hard. But you have to get through that in order to be that higher version of you. I had that same experience, not just in business, but with weight loss too. You have to just change who you are completely. And unfortunately, most people are not doing that, right? Most people, they don't self-reflect. People will say they journal, right? Or they might actively journal, but they don't actively put in the work. See, just because you write something in a journal, just because you write something in a journal does not mean that it magically changes. You still have to actively put in the work to get it to change, okay? So people will write stuff down in a journal all day, but they'll still have excuse after excuse after excuse as to why they can't get it done. So if you're the person that's actually doing that, like you are getting it done despite what you got going on in your own world, well, that's changing who you are. You're showing yourself how to show up for yourself and put yourself first, which is probably something you never used to do. So now you're someone who puts yourself first, as you should, right? You're not a bad person because you make yourself a priority in your own life. That doesn't make you bad. Because now you can be that better version of you for your family, for your spouse, for your children, right? So it's not bad. You have to put yourself first. You have to show up for you. Or you can just keep doing what you've been doing and getting the results you've been getting. So you have a choice. But that process happens when you're by yourself, when you're reflecting. And you don't have to be by yourself all day, but you're spending the time trying to change and, do something different, lock in on your mental health, reach your weight loss goals, your exercise goals, your business goals, right? You have to go through that period. You have to. Or you won't attract a better circle, okay? But you'll get through it. You'll get through it. And every single day, I don't think there's ever a finish line because there's always something else to improve on. Like always, always. Like until you die, there's always something you could do a little bit better or change a little bit, right? So it's okay. But unfortunately, most people don't live like that. So it'll be lonely. I'm putting air quotes on lonely because it's solitude. But leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Have you experienced this? What kind of things did you do to keep yourself grounded? Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.